Welcome to Harmony Baptist Children's Corner. My name is Dave. This is COVID Home Edition 50 for March 28th. Alright, what up? How's it going? How many of you seen the movie Yesterday? I watched it this week. I thought it was pretty funny. I liked it. I really enjoyed it. So if you haven't seen it, you should get your mom and dad or somebody and you should watch it. It's a good movie, Yesterday. But one of the things I noticed in it, spoiler alert, at one point they have to go and they have to eat a bunch of ice cream. And it's this big tray of ice cream like this. And there's just like 10 waffle cones and hunks, huge bunks of brownies, like 10 hunks of those, and candy and this and that. There's a lot of ice cream. Like this just big thing of ice cream. And they have to eat it all with the 5 of them in half an hour, or they have to pay $40. If they eat it in half an hour, it's free. So that's the challenge. If you eat this all. So the kids, we got to do this. So I'm not going to tell you how it works out. I will tell you that Dad is the hero. They start chanting, Dad, Dad, Dad. Yeah, way to go, Dad. Dads are the best. But at one point, one of the guys, one of the chanters, because the restaurant all gets into there, way to go, guys. And the one guy turns to the camera and he goes, and he says it in I believe it's Chinese, but it says it in the subtitles at the bottom. He says, do you believe in miracles? And I think, I started thinking, what? We consider it a miracle now to eat ice cream? I mean, you and I, as Jesus believers, we know, well, Jesus followers, you have to believe he existed. There's no denying that. But as Jesus followers, we know that Jesus did the miracles. Like Jesus, he healed the lame guy, the guy who couldn't walk. He healed him so he could walk, The blind guy who couldn't see, he spit in the ground, mixed it with some of the mud, then put it on the guy's eyes. Disgusting, but the guy could see. The guy who had the withered hand, and on the Sabbath day, Jesus said, straighten your hand out. So he straightened the hand, he's good. And everyone got mad at him. Oh, you're working, healing, doing miracles on the Sabbath. That's working. So those are miracles. I always thought those are miracles. Do we have miracles today? Is that why people write off miracles? Oh, that's a miracle. I found my car keys. No, I prayed to find them, but I don't think it's a miracle when I do. Having said that, I think I've had miracles in my life. If you've ever heard my knife and arrow story, I believe that was a miracle. Miracle answered prayer like that, I think that's miraculous. My wife's sister's husband, Nancy, you guys know Mrs. Pig, Nancy. Her husband, when he was alive, well, he was dying. He was on the edge of death, and he was very, very sick. And there was no saving him. It was just one of those things. It's over. And the doctor came out and said to the family, this is it. He's probably got less than a couple hours. Come and say goodbye. Phone everybody, get him here. Everybody's wanting. So Nancy, my sister-in-law, she phoned everybody, but they didn't just go in and say goodbye. They just started praying, and they prayed and they prayed and they prayed. And hours later, hours after he's supposed to have passed on, the doctor comes out and he goes, I don't know what you're doing, but whatever it is, it's working, so keep doing it. And he went back and, so, that to me, that's a miracle. I got that one written down. That's a miracle. For sure, that's a miracle. Well, how about this one? You've heard me tell the story, I call it my Easter story, about my mom when she got hit by the car, or the train. Here, if you haven't heard the story, then I'm going to tell it. And if you have heard it, you need to listen to this, because I found out some new information and I found that I've been telling it wrong. The gist of the story is the same, but I talked to my mom this week and she gave me some stuff, and I found, I'm going to show you. Now, first of all, this happened when my mom was 6, and she gave me some newspaper articles. Okay, this is really cool. First of all, there was these two articles. If you want to, you can pause it and read them. All right, there's those 2 articles. And then there's this one, and then this is really cool. Check this out, okay? That's my mom when she was 6, and that's the car. There was a train, it hit the car, she's in the car. Oh yeah, let me tell you the story, okay? Here's what happened. This is when my mom, she's 6 years old, 1939, all right, 1939. My grandfather, her father, he's got a Ford car, an old Ford, well, I don't know that it's old, that's a nice car, But it's 1939, he's driving that, there's no seatbelts or nothing. So they're driving along, Grandpa Dad's in the front, Mom's in the back. Her sister, older sister Mary, standing up behind Dad, you know, riding and checking out, because there's no seat belts, there's no rules, you know. So, and they had a neighbor from down the street, and her and 2 kids, and my mom were all in the back seat with her sister. So there's 4 kids and the neighbor down the street all in the back seat. Now my mom's 6, and apparently her and this neighbor were really good. We got along well and whatever. So my mom's fell asleep on her lap, you know, and it's just, and they're heading towards the lake. So they're driving down towards the lake and they come to the train tracks. Now in those days, like, they didn't have asphalt roads and then went asphalt through the train tracks. Those were like, you know, gravel roads. And so when it came to the tracks, you couldn't put gravel between the tracks. They had to have something between the tracks so the cars could go over it. So they put wood. And I don't know if you've ever seen that, maybe farther up north, or if you've gone, I don't know, wherever, but they have wood in between the tracks so that the car can drive over it. Well, here comes my, you know, my grandfather, and he's driving along, you know, and they come to the train track, the trestle. My Aunt Mary, my mom's sister, Aunt Mary's standing behind him, and goes, "Daddy, the train, Daddy, the train." And he looks, and sure enough, here's the train coming. And he gets so flustered, he actually drives off the edge on this side. So now he's got one tire off the edge of the wood. Like, the wood only went from like the width of the road. So now he's got one tire off, and it's between the train tracks. Well, those cars, you saw the car, that's not getting out of those train tracks. That hasn't got the power to get up and get out. So here comes a train, here comes a train. It's like, everybody out, everybody out. So, you know, everybody gets out, everybody runs out. They all run out, and they go to the front. Now you can see in the picture, you can just pretty much see into the back seat there. Well, apparently my grandmother looks, and there's my mother sleeping in the back seat there. "Oh, Frank, my friends." So my grandfather runs towards the train. Now, the engineer of the train runs towards the car. The engineer of the train had seen the car, and so he started applying the brakes, but he wasn't fast enough. So the train come and it actually hit the car. Now my grandfather got to the car just about the same time as the train, and my grandmother said, "No, Frank," at the last second. She's like, "No," and he knew he had to stop. He had to watch the train hit the car. Now apparently, the train hit the car and went this way, and my grandfather's right here. If the train hit the car and had gone that way, it took them out. Would have took them both, and they would have died, like, for sure, you know. But the train went this way, the train hit the car and went that way. And it was still slowing down. It didn't even get all the way through the trestle. So it only hit the car, and it only went about 50 feet. Now that's about from the front to the back of the church. Somewhere around there. Okay, so it's like, in the past I've told them, 200 yards, but it was only 50 feet. But still, it hit the car. The car went 250 feet, and apparently it rolled 5 times. All right? So now, my mother, she's in the car. It's rolled 5 times. She wakes up, and she's kind of a kilter, like this. She thinks, "Oh, Dad drove into the ditch. Oh, well, he's got lots of help. I'm going back to sleep." And she goes back to sleep. That's what she remembers. And then they all get there, and it's like, "Oh, Francis, you know," and they can't open the car door. Like, it's done. So they have to help her through the window. They get her, "Francis, wake up, come through it." So she comes through the window, the broken window, and that was the only damage, the only injury she got. She's got a scratch above her eye and a scratch just under her chin from coming out the window, the broken window. And so the doctor actually comes to their house. In those days, doctors made house visits. So the doctor comes to her house and doesn't even, my mom said he didn't even look at me. He was with her mom. Her mom was so traumatized by watching a train hit her daughter and almost hit her husband, and the car almost hit her. She was just like, she had PTSD. She was just panic, and her heart, so one of these things, she was having real problems. So the doctor spent more time, didn't even look at my mom. "You good? You good? All right, that's it." So to me, that's a miracle. I'm sorry. Hit by a train, rolled 5 times. I don't care if it's 50 feet, 200 yards. Hit by a train, rolled 50 feet. And got out and went, "Did I miss something? Did you drive into the ditch?" That's a miracle. Now, the reason I call it my Easter miracle story is because my grandfather had to watch his child get hit by a train. Now, he tried to stop it. He got real close, and he wanted to stop it and tried to stop it and just couldn't, so he had to watch. And to me, that reminds me of God. God had to watch his son get hit by a train, like get tortured and bullied and eventually put up on a cross. And God had to watch. Not only did he have to watch, but he kind of basically planned it. Because he knew that's how it had to be. In order for you and me to be able to approach God, to be with God. And God wants us with him. That's what he says, I want me, you want with me, you know, and that's why he made it a way to come to him. But you and I aren't perfect. Jesus was the only one who was perfect. And when he died on the cross, he took all our crap with him. And God said, okay, I forgive you, so I forgive everybody. And that's what makes us perfect. So we're allowed to approach God because we're perfect, because Jesus took it for us. So, like I say, that's my Easter story, because to me, that's a miracle. I can approach God. I know me. I know how bad I am. And apparently I'm allowed to approach God because Jesus. So that's a miracle. My mom gets smacked by a train rolling 5 times and then still had me. That's a miracle. How about you? You notice the miracles in your life? They happen often. You just got to give credit due where it's due. All right, I got to go. Talk to you later. I hope you have a great week. Ciao.